Welcome to the Early Parenting Podcast, where we help you navigate the somewhat tricky world of parenthood so you can love the crap out of being a mum. I'm your host, Jen Butler, and I'm an early parenting consultant and a mama of two busy boys. Join me as I explore all things early parenting and deliver them to you in toddler-friendly, bite-sized lessons because, let's be honest, the toddler is probably smothering pseudo-cream on the wall as we speak. I'll be dropping my hottest tips on baby and toddler sleep, feeding, boobs, behaviour, and so much more. Are you ready to find your flowing motherhood? Let's dive in. Hello and welcome to the Early Parenting Podcast. Before I dive into all the amazing topics that we are going to cover in this podcast, I thought that you should probably find out a little bit about your host, aka me, Jen Butler. So who the heck am I to be on here talking about all things birth to 4 years? Well, actually, I feel perfectly positioned to be giving you the download on the early years. Now, I don't want to bore you by reciting my CV, but to give you a super brief rundown, I'm a registered nurse and midwife, a maternal and child health nurse, a lactation consultant, a sleep consultant, and a Circle of Security parenting program facilitator. So all of these may sound like a bunch of words to you, but what it means is that I'm going to be able to bring you evidence-based and practical parenting information, tips, tricks, and how-tos on all things baby and toddler. Now, to add to the mix, I'm also a mama of two young boys. Their names are Max and Ted. Max is my eldest, and he's now 4 at the time of recording this podcast. And he was the reason I wanted to support new parents in early parenthood. So prior to his birth, I was already working as a midwife and a maternal and child health nurse. And to be honest, with these credentials, I was pretty damn cocky and very, very confident about becoming a mum. Because, I thought, I've got all this extra knowledge, like I am going to kill it. Ha! How wrong I was. It wasn't an easy run with Max. I had breastfeeding problems, I had sleep issues, I had postnatal depression, I had so many worries and fears. And I actually remember thinking to myself, if I feel this lost, despite all the extra knowledge and training I have, how the heck would all the other mums out there be feeling? But you know what? My experience lighted a spark in me and a burning desire. I wanted to help other mums not feel as lost and confused as I did. And so birthed my third child, Jen Butler Early Parenting Support. So I have a private consulting business that offers breastfeeding support, baby and toddler sleep support, education and advice around toddler emotions and behaviour, and basically consulting around all things in the early parenting years. I exist to help mums sync up with their baby and toddler's flow so that you can find joy and confidence in the journey. Okay, so what can you expect from this podcast? Well, each week I will be dropping a bite-sized, toddler-friendly episode on a variety of topics. I plan to cover everything relevant to the early years, and nothing is going to be untouched, people. So, I'm talking from newborn sleep to toilet training, breastfeeding to introducing solids, toddler tantrums to understanding baby and toddler development and growth. I want this to be your one-stop shop for all things early parenting. Although, quick disclaimer here, the advice I offer on this podcast is of a general nature and it certainly doesn't replace the advice and review of your trusted medical professional. So make sure you're still consulting with your pediatrician, your maternal and child health nurse, everyone who is able to look at your baby and give you personalised advice. Anyway, enough from me. Let's get into all the amazing topics I want to cover. But quickly before I finish up, I want you to do me a huge, huge favour. I'm wondering if you can head over to whatever podcast streaming device you're using and leave me a review. Your thoughts and kind words help this podcast reach the ears of more mums. that need these tips and tricks to allow them to enjoy this crazy ride called motherhood. So I would love it if you could pop me a review. And if you're listening to the podcast in the first 2 weeks of launch, I'm actually going to be running a little competition. Anyone who leaves me a review or shares my podcast on their social media will go into the draw to win a 1-hour consultation with yours truly. If you're on your socials, make sure to tag me at Jen Butler, Early Parenting. And you know what? Also follow me if you're heading over there so I can see your entry. And also while you're over there leaving me a review on your podcast streaming app, hit subscribe so you don't miss a single one of these episodes. Okie doke, let's dive in. I'm so excited to start sharing all of my tips and tricks with you. See you in the next episode.